You should have already assembled the roof and sidewall sections, stained the greenhouse, and prepared a foundation that is level and square. Set the base wall into place on top of the foundation. We are showing the last two base wall sections, but placement of the base is the same procedure for all pieces. The Sturdi-Built base wall is designed to overhang the foundation by 1/2 inch all the way around. Screw the base wall corners together. Adjust and/or shim so the base wall is level and square. Do not anchor to the foundation until later. Now you are ready to set up the wall sections. First, set the non-door end wall section into place. Hold and set the sidewall sections into place. Fit the end walls and the side walls together at the corners by leaning the end walls outward and inserting the eave plates into the end walls. Align the lower sill corners. Start screws at the corners, but do not fully tighten. Glass openings in the end bays of the side wall should measure 20 1/8 inches, the same as the glass openings in the other sidewall bays. Lift the roof sections into place, carefully sliding them up the gable end bars, setting into place, and lining up the ridge rails. The 1x2 ribbon at the bottom of the roof section sits inside the end walls with approximately 1/2 inch clearance at each end. This close-up shows setting the ridge rails into place and lining them up. Bolt the ridge rails together through the pre-drilled holes with bolts and T-nuts. Push the T-nut into the ridge rail slightly and it will set in when the bolt is tightened. Bolt at both ends and in the center. Important: the rafters must be lined up with the sidebars. Screw the rafter ribbon to the eave plate. Screw the end walls to the ridge rail through the ridge block. Place the rafter tie up against the inside face of the center rafters on the roof sections. Check that it is level and screw in place. Fasten the gutter in place to the bottom of the eave plate. The drain tube hole in each gutter should line up with a sidebar. Insert the end of the drain tube into the gutter hole. Line the tube up with the sidebar and nail through the tube to hold neatly in place. Screw the arched gussets to the same rafters as the rafter tie and the corresponding sidebars. Repeat on the other side. Check that the greenhouse is plumb, level, and square, and the door swings properly. Then tighten all bolts and screws working from the top down. Finally, anchor the base wall to the foundation. Put the ridge cap in place and fasten down with long carriage bolts through the pre-drilled holes. If you haven't already, open your tube of caulk. Caulk around the head of the bolts where they will protrude from the ridge cap to keep out water. Take your caulked carriage bolts, place them down through the holes, and tighten. Now the roof vent. The roof vent should be glazed before putting in the vent. Put the vent in place with the top edge of the vent going under the ridge cap almost up to the ridge rail. It helps to have a second person holding the vent. Fasten the hinges to the vent and the ridge cap. Hinges should be placed about 8 inches in from the outside edge of the vent. There are 2 hinges for each vent. Install the fascia block using the trim head screws included, attached to the end of the ridge rail and cap. Before the second screw, make sure the fascia block is square with the greenhouse. Now glaze your greenhouse. If you stain the greenhouse, make sure it is completely dry. Check that your greenhouse frame is plumb, square, and level, and that all glass shoulders and seats are aligned. Test fit a piece of glass. This video shows the caulking of a bay in the end wall, but the technique is the same for all parts of the greenhouse. You should begin with the side walls, choosing the least conspicuous corner to begin. Run a continuous 1/4 inch bead of caulk in the glass shoulders starting at the top and going down. Bring the bead of caulk out and around the sidebar. Caulk both sides, then caulk the sill. Do not caulk the top of the bay. In the bays with only one piece of glass, hold the glass with the top at a slight inward angle and place the top edge in the top groove. Place a hand on each side of the glass and press the side edges into the caulk. Then ease the glass down into the caulk on the bottom sill. Gently press around the edges of the glass to make sure it is completely sealed. Secure the glass with bar caps as you proceed. For bays with 2 pieces of glass, start with the lower piece, angle the bottom half in and place into the sill caulk, then press in the sides to firmly set the glass in the caulk. Take your upper piece of glass and place it in the uncaulked groove at the top of the bay, then gently set it into the caulk in the glass shoulders. The top piece of glass should overlap the bottom piece by about a 1/2 inch. Do not caulk the lapped joint. Place a small brad just below the top piece of glass and press into the wood using a block. This brad helps keep the glass in place in conjunction with the caulking and bar caps. Install the bar caps as you go. After glazing all the walls, it is time to glaze the roof with the twin wall polycarbonate. Once again, run a 1/4 inch bead of caulk in the glass shoulders. Be sure and caulk around the tip ends of the rafters on the eave. Then caulk the eave but not the top groove. Make sure that the outside of the twin wall is facing out with the U-channel at the bottom. Push the top taped edge into the glazing groove at the greenhouse ridge, and then push the twin wall into the caulking on the sides. Finally, gently push the U-channel into the caulk on the eave. Finish up with the bar cap. Call us if you have any questions.